An international conference on the humanitarian crisis in Yemen is being held today in Paris. 22 million people are in need of aid after years of fighting between Houthi rebels and the Saudi-backed government. Hundreds of thousands of civilians now risk getting trapped in the crossfire of the escalating offensive in the port city of Hodeidah. And to talk more about the crisis there and across Yemen with me now, I'm joined on the set by Racha Mouawieh from Amnesty International. Racha, thank you so much for coming in to speak with us. Let's start with the situation right now in Hodeidah. You've been talking to people there. What are things like for the civilians, the thousands of people caught in the crossfire?
Of course, just last week, they were describing to me one of the worst bombings they have ever seen. They were also describing a ghost town, people trying to flee. Just yesterday, reportedly, people trying to flee were bombed and were killed. So the situation is nightmarish, and the bombing is not stopping.
Racha, in addition to just the situation for the people in Hodeidah, the port is where a majority of humanitarian aid comes in to Yemen. What kind of effect is that having on the rest of the country?
Of course, the port of Hodeidah is crucial. 70% of all of commercial imports to Yemen enter through this port. There is no alternative to this port. At Amnesty, we have documented the tightened blockade that was repeatedly tightened by the Saudi Arabia-led coalitions that have had a disastrous impact, putting millions of lives at risk inside Yemen. And we have said that this is a collective punishment that may amount to war crime.
So where are these people living now? So many of them have been forced from their homes. Are there camps? Is there a structure in place for them?
So these people are mostly fleeing through Sana'a, but there are fear for their safety. So we are calling on all parties to the conflict to ensure that the people can flee safely this conflict.
And what would that entail exactly? Creating humanitarian corridors?
We're just saying that they should take all precautions to not hit, to not bomb the civilians like just this happened just yesterday. A bus reportedly an attack killed 9 civilians.
There's a conference that's being held here in Paris today to try and talk about this devastating situation. What do you think will come out of this conference, if anything?
Look, we are calling on France today to raise the question of protection of civilians, to raise the question of humanitarian aid, and also to raise the question of accountability, maybe. Because until now, we have always called on France to stop selling arms to the members of the Saudi Arabia-led coalition, because these arms might be used in order to commit war crimes. And today, France is organizing a humanitarian conference, but at the same time, they are still selling arms to this coalition.
The other issue is this is a proxy war in so many ways. You have Iran that's backing the Houthi rebels, the Saudi regime backing the government. Do you believe it's still possible to find some sort of political out to this conflict?
Look, what we are saying today is that all parties to the conflict should abide to the law of wars. Until now, the conflict in Yemen have killed more than 6,000 of civilians. The restrictions have led to like a disastrous impact. So in the terms of conflict, the parties must be held accountable. This is a question of accountability must be central in any political solution.
Yemen has been described by the UN, I was saying before, as the world's worst humanitarian crisis at the moment. What can people do? What can our viewers do if they want to help the people of Yemen?
I think everyone should call on their government. It's very important to remind, especially like the US, the UK, France, who are still selling arms to the Saudi Arabia-led coalition. Like they should call on their government. I really believe that the public opinion can have a say on something and raise the pressure on this government to stop selling these arms.
Racha, thank you so much for coming in to speak to us. Racha Mouawieh from Amnesty International. Thank you.